Shan, what was the difference between 2008 general election and the 2013 general election?
I think I would like to comment on this, looking into the current argument and the current Facebook phenomena, where you see a lot of people have put forward the photo saying that democracy is dead. I would say that democracy is not dead. In the last 20 years, we don't have much of evidence or also information to celebrate our democracy. Democracy has never been alive for us to say it was dead or alive. In fact, democracy is now only starting to emerge. And in terms of what I said earlier, in terms of public participation, access to information, also access to justice, these three elements are now emerging. In the last 10, 15 election, 10 or 12, 10 to 11, the 11th election even, we don't see much of these processes taking place. So therefore, the 12th election, general election, was a shock. And a lot of people didn't expect the electoral process could be dynamic and could be favorable for the opposition, especially the dissent movement. So 12th general election was a shock, and a lot of people came forward and they just voted and they saw the results. So from there onwards, the democratic process have started, and the 13th general election was the evidence of these processes maturing, whereby we can see the public, especially the Chinese community, the urban Chinese community, who've always been left out from the mainstream politics, coming forward, taking part in our charamas at the grassroots levels, doing work for the political parties, taking part in demonstrations, and also protesting, questioning leaders, and also taking part in campaigns during the election. So this is a kind of a positive response from the urban folks, especially the Chinese folks. So this is considered a positive aspect of democracy, and we can call it the tsunami China that the people talking about in a positive term, whereby people are finally taking part in our electoral processes. So therefore, I would say that there's a big improvement in our democratic processes, rightfully because of the movement of the people and the demand of the people, and also the political awareness that has been achieved in the last 5 years. And people are more comfortable taking part in political activities, especially party activities, and they're becoming more and more confident in terms of speaking out and also making their voices heard. So this is a big change from the 2008 election that we have not seen in this country for a very long time. So therefore, democracy is now emerging, and we would like to see this continue, and hopefully we don't go back to the dark ages of our democratic practices. So we'll be moving forward. So we hope we can move forward and we can evaluate again where is the country standing now, and what is the level of democracy and level of freedom that we have, and what need to be done from here so that we can improve to become better. And for that to be achieved, we have a major question that we need to be answered: the vision of the country. So currently, political parties are contesting more on power, more on who should be the rightful administrator, who could be the clean administrator, who could be a more effective, transparent administrators. So the context is very much on administration. It's not on vision. But the big question in a lot of people's head is the vision of the country. Are we heading towards becoming an Islamic state? Are we heading towards becoming a secular state or a civil state? Are we going to divide it as a nation of Malays, non-Malays, urban, non-urban, Sabah, Sarawak? So all these questions need to be answered. So without this question being answered, I think the democratic practice and process that we're talking about is only limited to electoral processes. So therefore, it's narrow and it's limited to that, and it's not looking into the big aspect of democracy itself. So until we move to that platform, I will say that the improvements are academic. It's not going to be effective in terms of setting forward the reform agenda and the change we're talking about for Malaysia.
The mood of the Chinese, as you say, okay, from 2008 and 2013, has been one of empowerment, or feeling of empowerment, and that's quite palpable. But what about the mood of the Indians and the Malays? They have seemed to have changed a little bit, haven't they? I mean, especially the Indians. Yeah. I didn't get that sense of excitement and willingness to vote for change. For
the Malays and the Indians, the perspectives are totally different. The context is totally different. I think for the Malays, the historical aspect of political activities, the establishment of UMNO, the other political parties. So the history plays a very strong role in terms of their involvement in the political parties. And the second alternative that comes forward to their, what do you call that, to their own aspiration is religion. I think Islam plays another major role in terms of their involvement in politics. And for the Indians, they have a very long history of political involvement, political participation, involvement in trade unions, political parties, and also social movements. So far for the Indians, grassroots especially and those who are living in the fringes, those who are involved as workers in a factory level, or also those who are working at a young executive or even student. Politics is not something new. I think they're so exposed to it. I think they're very dynamic, and the network is huge. The aspiration is dynamic as well. The needs are also dynamic, and so therefore the Indian politics have taken its own life. I think it will go according to their own momentum, of their own what do you call that, aspiration of what they want to see for their own community. So it's going on its own tangent. But when we talk about their involvement to be significant in terms of nation building, the integrity, the integration of this community in terms of the vision of the nation is not there. So therefore, I would say that the Indian participation again is only communal and only limited to their own demands, short-term demands that they're putting forward. And they have their own method, and their politics have also evolved to move beyond partisan politics, and some have even taken a bipartisan approach, some have taken a grassroots approach, some have taken the political approach. So for the Indians, politics is very dynamic and is very fluid, and the platform is huge. So the participation of this community, who are already minority in this country, when it's split into these various aspects, so it's been seen as not significant, it's not as sending a message across. But this is the reality of the Indian community. They know speaking as one voice can only be done through demonstrations and public protests. So they tend to focus more on that aspect. And electoral politics, they tend to be more relaxed and play a more critical role in terms of their involvement. So that is with the Indians, I think. That's why you don't see them coming very strongly this time around, but significantly you can see the Chinese community, especially the urban, coming out and participating in this process. I think this is new, and this is finally the Chinese are coming forward on this platform that many Malaysians have been waiting for a many long time, for many years, and finally it's happening. But it's all based on their own ethnic, historical, and also private context that they have come forward, they have exposed to in terms of democracy and human rights practices.